Hello. Our next unit of study, we've done sentence patterns and we've done comma usage. So now we're going to apply our understanding of sentence patterns and using commas properly to looking at run-ons and fragments. And this is going to be a two-part video. So we're going to start today with run-ons. And when we think about run-ons, there are two types of run-ons that we need to be aware of and know how to fix or edit. And those are fused sentences and comma splices. So let's take a look at those in a little more detail. A fused sentence is where you have two independent clauses or complete sentences that run together with no punctuation at all. So when we say a run-on, literally the sentences are running on together. A comma splice is where you have two independent clauses or complete sentences that are joined together with only a comma to mark the break. And we know from our study of sentence patterns and comma rules that we cannot use commas to link together complete sentences. It's just not proper punctuation. So what's the danger of these types of run-ons? Well, let's look at this example paragraph and see if we can spot the run-ons. So why don't you go ahead and follow along while I read it out loud. Many states have enacted cyber stalking or cyber harassment laws that explicitly include electronic forms of communication within more traditional stalking or harassment laws. Recent concerns about protecting minors from online bullying or harassment have led states to enact cyberbullying laws. This chart identifies only state laws that include specific references to electronic communication. Other state laws may still apply to those who harass, threaten, or bully others online. So after reading that paragraph, can you spot the run-ons? Could you hear the run-ons when I read the paragraph out loud? Well, here they are. The first example is a fused sentence, and I know that that's a fused sentence because on either side, with recent concerns and with many states have enacted, both of those are independent clauses or complete sentences, and notice there is no punctuation between laws or recent, hence fused sentence. The second example is a comma splice. Where other state laws may still apply, that is a complete sentence. This chart identifies only state laws. That is also a complete sentence. And we know that we cannot use just merely a comma to punctuate complete sentences. So one important note, we have been looking at different types of phrases as we've been studying our sentence patterns and our comma rules. So I want to go ahead and reiterate an idea that we saw with comma rules, and that's on appositive phrases. And independent clauses that contain appositives are basically descriptive phrases. We do use commas for those. So keep in mind your comma rules and don't be tricked by appositive phrases because those are not run-ons, okay? So if we look at the sample sentence, they served my favorite dessert, vanilla ice cream with strawberries. The phrase vanilla ice cream with strawberries, that appositive phrase is renaming what my favorite dessert is. So the comma, that's comma rule 9, more than appropriate to be in that particular sentence. So don't get run-ons confused with extra material at the end of a sentence or with interrupters in a sentence. Now, fixing run-ons. When we're editing our papers, editing our paragraphs, making sure things are clear and concise, we want to make sure that we use appropriate sentence patterns. So maybe we fix a fused sentence by using a period and then capitalizing the first word of the next sentence. Maybe with a comma splice, we simply add a coordinate conjunction that makes sense in the context of the sentence. Or maybe we use a semicolon, or if I have a transition that is not properly punctuated, I need to, go back and look at my sentence patterns and make sure I'm punctuating my sentences properly. Or finally, if I want to, change up my writing and start using some dependent clauses in my writing, I can always use that solution as well. So here's one example. This is kind of the simple, straightforward, I don't know what else to do example. If you have a fused sentence like the one we see in the example, you can go ahead and add a period. Just make sure you capitalize the first letter of the next word. Okay, so it says the men practiced for weeks before the game to be completely prepared for the competition. The other team has been division champs for 3 years. Well, there's no punctuation right there, but clearly I need to add a period and then capitalize the to edit that run-on. If I were to add a coordinate conjunction, this is great to use if the comma splice is already there. Just make sure you're using a coordinate conjunction that's appropriate for the meaning of the sentence. So if I look at this example, Janet stood at the window for a long time. She could see the airplane depart. I have a comma splice. If I go ahead and insert the coordinate conjunction so, well, now I have an understanding of causes and effects. Another thing I can do is to use a semicolon. And this is, again, if I have a comma splice or even if I just have a fused sentence, I can really use this for either type. Just remember the rules with semicolons. You want to use them sparingly, and you need to make sure that the clauses you're connecting, the sentences you're connecting, do have some sort of commonality. Again, if I use a transition expression, always make sure I'm punctuating it properly, depending on if I'm hooking up independent clauses or if I'm interrupting them. So in this case, Marcus studied every day for his psychology exam. He received an A on it. So I can go ahead and take that comma splice and change it to a semicolon like I have in the correction. Or again, if I want to try incorporating effective transition words in my writing, I might go ahead and add a therefore. And again, that shows me, by using that transition word therefore, it's showing me cause and effect. All right, the last way we can fix these run-ons is by trying to write in some complex sentences. We can add some interest. We can help our readability. So we can go ahead and change one of our independent clauses into a dependent clause. Again, making sure we're using appropriate subordinate conjunctions and we're punctuating those sentences correctly. So if I have the run-on, the teacher met the student after class to review for the exam. The student was well prepared for the test. How about if I add the subordinate conjunction because and say, because the teacher met the student after class to review for the exam, comma, the student was well prepared. Again, this subordinate conjunction allows me to show cause and effect. It's just important I use my comma after my dependent clause. If I look at the next example, instead of starting with my subordinate conjunction, let's say I want to insert my subordinate conjunction so that I have an ICDC pattern. Well, now I can say this teacher met the student after class to review for the exam, even though the student was well prepared for the test. So again, I have some control over where I want to use my dependent clauses and making sure I pick an appropriate subordinate conjunction. So, not a big deal, right? As you can tell, to fix your run-ons, read your sentences carefully. Make sure you're really clear on where your independent clauses are. Make sure that you're deciding where the sentences need to be split in an appropriate way. So paying attention to the topic of the sentence, paying attention to if it's cause versus effect, or if it's what comes first and what comes second. So you need to be real clear that your run-ons and the way you're dividing up your sentences makes sense in the overall context of your paragraph. Then make sure you choose the best punctuation, okay, and the correct punctuation. And at the end of the day, there's always more than one way to fix a run-on, but when you fix it, you want to make sure that you're fixing it correctly. All right, good luck. Our next video will be on part 2, fragments.